Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time it is a review of the 2017 horror film Happy Death Day. Now, Happy Death Day is a film that I actually was curious about. I liked the trailer for it. I was like, oh, a Groundhog Day slasher film. That's a nice concept. Yes, Groundhog Day has been done before, but it's putting its own spin on it. It's putting a few new threads into an old quilt, so to speak. It's actually adding something new to this concept that we've already seen before. So I was definitely intrigued and interested in the film. And I got around to seeing it, and I'm a little bit disappointed by it because ultimately it's just a time waster for me. I liked the film okay, but at the end of the day, it was a missed opportunity. And that's frustrating, but I did find it to be, for the most part, entertaining enough. So it's one of those films where I did have issues with it and they hurt the film, but I'm still glad that I saw it. I'm still glad that I saw the film, and there are some good things about it, some great things about it. It's just, man, this is a movie that really suffers from the lack of bite or the lack of cojones. Like, this is a film that had no business being PG-13. It's helped it earn a lot of money at the box office and made $88.2 million on a $4.8 million budget, but I still think it would have done just as well, if not even better, if it was rated R. We're not in an age right now where R-rated horror films don't make money. Look at It. I'm not a big fan of that film, but look at the box office gross for that film. Or look at Get Out. But then again, the studio and the producers who made this, they had no idea that those films were going to be as big as they were. So they probably made this from the beginning intending it to be PG-13. That being said, it's a huge wasted opportunity to have a slasher version of Groundhog Day and have it be PG-13 and have no bite, no kills that really have any impact because you're PG-13. You can't be as creative as you could be with an R rating with the kills. You can't really have these kills have a big impact or an effect on the viewer, or have scenes with the kills that make you go like, ow, wow, damn, ugh. You can't do anything like that because it's PG-13. So the film is severely hampered from the beginning because of its rating. Also, the writing suffers from not being funny enough. Like, it's trying to be a horror comedy, but the comedy elements, for the most part, fall flat. So it's not enough of a satire of horror tropes for it to be funny in that way. So it's one of those films that kind of lies in between that weird chasm where you have horror and comedy, but it's neither. So it doesn't do either of them particularly really well. It does the horror elements better than the comedy elements, but with all the comedy elements that are thrown in here, the horror elements aren't able to have as much power as they would if the film, didn't devote as much of its time to trying to make you laugh. It's a tough thing to get right, to have a campy tone and to be funny and tongue-in-cheek, and this one doesn't really have that. It doesn't really do it very well. Also, it suffers from trying to outsmart itself, or trying to pull the wool over the audience, or trying to trick them, and it overthinks things. So you have a climax that's effective because it's simple and it's to the point and it's straightforward, and then they pull out this bullshit twist at the end, which just is honestly kind of insulting and predictable. The film, yeah, the ending could have been cliched and kind of rote, but at least it would be more effective and the film would flow better. When you have the twist ending, it doesn't flow as well. It feels like it's from a different cut of the film, and it doesn't really mesh well with the rest of the movie. Even despite its attempts to try to make everything connect. I know some critics have said it's Groundhog Day meets Scream. I don't get the Scream aspect. The satire was superficial at best. Scream is a much better satire of horror tropes and horror cliches. This just tries some things, but it doesn't do anything that we haven't seen before when it comes to horror or slasher satire. It's directed by Christopher B. Landon, who is one of the bright spots here. I think his direction is great. I think he did a really good job directing this film. It's full of a lot of dynamic energy. There's some really impressive shots, and this is a guy who I think might be a rising star. You could tell that he had a passion for this project. It's nice when you see a director who is like, I love this. I love that I'm doing this. I love that I'm making this movie. And that goes a long way in terms of the direction, because you can see the energy and the life behind the camera. It's written by Scott Lobdell. The script, for the most part, at times does work. Especially with the characters. I personally was kind of turned off on the tree character in the beginning being a total slutty bitch. But then the film makes up for it because it shows her character evolve and become a better person by the end of the movie. So, in that progression I thought was handled well, minus the stupid twist ending, which kind of hurts it a little bit, but still I thought it was handled well. Other characters I thought were well written. I like Carter. Carter reminded me a lot of myself. He has some great taste in movies. He's got Repo Man posters in his room, along with like They Live. So it was nice to see a male lead who was not a pretty boy, was just kind of a normal looking guy. That was refreshing to see. And I thought the character was well written, and there were a few other twists and turns that I thought were handled fairly well. That being said, the script doesn't explain at all how she's stuck in this time loop. I guess apparently the sequel is going to try to explain that. Why are you waiting to the why are you waiting to the sequel to explain that? You could I think it could have been some kind of thing where it had to tie in with the music box. Maybe there's some magic going involved. Even if it's magic or voodoo, whatever, some kind of explanation would be better than nothing. Because all we get is she's just stuck in a time loop repeatedly, and we have no idea why she's stuck in this time loop. It's like the script just didn't even bother to explain that. It was like, it's too difficult, and if we try to explain it, maybe do it with like some sci-fi or fantasy stuff, it'd be ridiculous and kind of unbelievable. Yeah, it would be, but you can play around with that. You can play around with the fact when you find the reveal about why she's stuck in a time loop, and you can play around with the fact that once the character Tree figures that out, she's like, really? Well, that's stupid. You could do something like that. I mean, the character also Tree, she's kind of dumb, and it takes her a little bit longer to figure shit out than it should. But at the same time, though, I personally feel that Jessica Rothe's performance is absolutely amazing, and she's spectacular. She lights up the screen. She's not only a pretty face, but she also has some really wonderful charisma, and she's actually a legitimately good actress. So this is a nice showcase for her as an actor. But that being said, there's some stuff that just I mean, could have had her be a little bit smarter. Then there's other stuff where it's just kind of cringy. Like there's a scene where she farts and burps in a diner. Not needed. Not necessary. I don't need to see what looks like an outtake from Nutty Professor 2. Okay, we don't need the farting and the burping. It was this whole sort of like, oh, she's a girl and she knows that she can do whatever she wants because she's gonna die and wake up the next day and start the day over again. So she's just gonna burp and fart in a restaurant. It was jarring. It was a jarring scene that was just like, you went there? Really? That stunk. No pun intended. It stunk. Well, actually, pun intended. It stunk. It really did. That was a rank ass scene. And then you have a scene later after the bullshit stupid twist where she says a line of dialogue. She's like, "I don't know what Groundhog Day is. Really, I've never heard of Bill Murray or something." I was just like, that wasn't funny, and that was just cringe. So there's a few moments that were pretty cringe inducing that it was trying to be funny and just didn't work. The film features a score by Bear McCreary. I just thought it was a pretty decent score. Some nice orchestral pieces here and there. And the music that they used in the film I thought worked with the movie. Although there were some songs that they had in there that were like kind of annoying, like the "It's Your Birthday" song, and then some of the other music that they had that sounded like the type of music I guess you'd hear on like a preteen girl's iPad or iPod. It was like, it was like a preteen girl playlist, and I guess that's kind of what this movie is intended for, like a teenage audience, because it definitely has this sort of teen girl appeal or appearance to it. That being said, though, I still found it entertaining despite the issues. For the concept, I thought the film also was really well paced. That's one thing the film definitely had going for it. Once she starts going through all these different days, the film did a good job making these different days different from one another. So, and the editing by Gregory Plotkin also really helped with the film's pacing. The film's only like 96 minutes, and that's the perfect running time. It didn't need to be any longer than that. I would say the killer... Yes, it's cliched to have the killer be revealed as just a crazy serial killer guy who escapes from a hospital, but I would prefer that over the jilted roommate who had a stupid plan trying to kill the girl with a cupcake, and she's the one that's been killing her this whole time. It was just one of those that just felt like the screenwriter was like, man, I need to have a twist. All of these horror films have twists. Let's have that. Let's have this as the twist. The roommate. And then it just makes the lead seem even dumber, because it's like, you didn't think that your roommate might have been one of the suspects? This roommate who's been giving you the cold shoulder, who you've been kind of treating like shit? You didn't think that maybe she might be the one who might be trying to kill you? It didn't come across your peroxide blown and dried hair or head? This is one of those things that's like, it would have been better off just having the crazy guy, the serial killer, being the killer. But also the look of the killer, I guess Tony Gardner designed this because he was like having a kid or something, and he was having these nightmares and dreams about babies. So he made the mask based on that. It just, when you have the killer looking like Baby Huey from like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it's just, it's nice try, Tony. I know you did the ghost face mask, but this just wasn't that great. I mean, this wasn't really that inspired. It's just a baby mask, and it's not intimidating, and it's not memorable. It's just a baby mask. It's all it is. It's just kind of like, that's it. Baby mask? That's what it didn't give me for your slasher? Your new slasher icon. Babyface. Babyface McGee. It's just like, alright, Baby Huey. That's one thing I thought was kind of lame anyway when I saw the trailer. I'm like, that's what the killer looks like? That's pretty lame. I guess Tony made a pig mask, but they didn't go with that. But I didn't go with that either, because that's just stock. But they didn't even play around with the baby mask thing. I mean, if they did something with it, if they were like joking around with it and so on, they never really did that. So, I mean, you just have this killer who's supposed to be scary with a baby mask, or it's supposed to be funny, but it's not funny because all it is just a killer with a baby mask. There's no joke there. Oh, it's so funny. The killer's got a ridiculous baby mask. If it was funny, it would be funny once. It's not going to be funny again. It's not a gag that's going to work if you repeat it over and over again. The cinematography by Toby Oliver, the film was well shot. I mean, from a technical standpoint, the film is impressive. From the direction, editing, cinematography, even from the score isn't the best thing ever, but it's better than a lot of other music and a lot of other scores I've heard in a lot of horror films lately. It actually does add some actual sort of atmosphere and mood to certain scenes when a scene needs to be more suspenseful and more fast-paced. The score actually does help it. It actually does add, and it gives that sequence more of the type of effect that the director was wanting out of that scene. And it definitely helps that you have, like I said, you have a solid cast. Jessica Rothe is spectacular as Tree. Israel Broussard, I thought, was really likable as Carter Davis. He had great chemistry with Jessica, and Ruby Modine, who plays Lori. She's there. She's the roommate. Rachel Matthews was actually one of the funniest characters as this over-the-top stereotypical rich bitch. And other than that, I mean, there really wasn't any other actors that were really amazing, but it's more of Jessica Roth's film anyway. It's more of her movie, and there's some supporting characters. It follows her character and her journey towards being a better person through being killed over and over again by this baby mask wearing serial killer or killer. And that's a straightforward concept, but it works. It's just, like I said, what holds it back from being a classic or a great film is the lack of gore, the lack of ingenious kills, because it can't show any of them because it's PG-13. The lack of some really clever, funny gags. It doesn't really have any of those. And the unnecessary twist at the end that just ruins the flow of the film. Overall, though, I know it does. I know it's a pretty short review in comparison to the other videos I did. There's not much else to say about Happy Death Day. It's a film that I like I said, I liked. I thought it was a decent time waster. It's a film I pick up on video for like cheap someday down the road, but I'm in no rush to get a copy of it anytime soon. It's a film that's disappointing in some ways, but in other ways it does live up to the expectations that I had for it, so I can't be that upset at the film. It's a movie that I do recommend if you were at all curious about the concept, if you like the trailer, sounded like your type of film, give it a watch. I mean, there are much worse PG-13 horror films out there that you can watch that have come out in the past few years. I mean, this beats the ever-loving shit out of crap like Ouija. Okay? Like, this actually has some genuinely suspenseful moments. It's not as clever as it could be, but it does have some clever bits. And it's got a nice concept. Groundhog Day meets a slasher film. And it's got a really charismatic lead that legitimately grows into being a better, less bitchier person by the end of the film. So it has a nice heart to it amongst all of the carnage, and that really went a long way for me, because I feel like a lot of films like this, they lack characters that you can relate to or are likable or have human qualities. And I felt that this movie actually had characters in it that felt like real people, especially at least the two leads. The other people were kind of cliches, but that's the point. And sometimes those rich bitches, they really are like that. That's not a cliche. They really are like that. So, regardless, though, Happy Death Day is a entertaining but flawed film, and yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.